Okay, so I continue to have technical difficulties, which is never going to go away. I'm a total spaz with this stuff. And the funny thing is, I used to run the computer training program at Illinois Institute of Technology, but I didn't have to do any of the computer stuff. I was just a manager. But anyway, that's the way it goes. So I'll do the best that I can, and thanks so much for being understanding and for being such great students so far. And remember to just keep up with those current events papers and those discussion questions. And I know I put the current events in the wrong spot, but then if you emailed it to me, I updated it and all that sort of thing. And so we should be finishing week 4 this week. And I know many of you are even ahead of that with the discussion questions and with everything else. So keep up the good work with that. Let's see. I had said in that announcement that I posted that we were going to be doing our midterm the week of July 6th, and the midterm is going to be 75 questions, multiple choice, and then you have 90 minutes to finish it once you start it. And by the way, just go back and look at the notes and listen to the videos that I posted, because everything will be out of those at some point or another. And then also think about what things would be part that I've like highlighted or anything like that, and of course that'll be in there too. And then also, I think I had said July 6th for the Zoom call with Tara Costa-Howard, who's a state representative from Illinois, but it's actually July 7th. And so July 7th at 10 a.m. is what time we're going to do it. And so we'll be doing that. And she said that she knows how to run the Zoom call, because of course I don't know how to. So she's going to do that, and then I'll send you the link for it. Right? So I know I've been talking about getting around to doing currencies and things like that, and I'm going to do that. But I did want to talk about one other thing, which was what's taking place in the pandemic. And this is from Time Magazine, and it talks about like some of the racial disparities in the United States. And so if I can move in here a little bit, you'll be able to see, and I gotta turn to see it because I can't see right now. 29.9% is percentage of white workers who can work from home, whereas 19.7% of black workers can work from home, and 16.2% of Hispanic workers who can work from home. So of course, there's this disparity where black and Hispanic workers are not able to work from home, so of course means there's a much better chance of them getting coronavirus than would be for those white workers who are able to work from home. Then also remember, when you're looking at those numbers, that the percentage of the population that's white is much higher too, so that makes it an even larger number. And then also in here is incarcerations, and it talks about 2.3 million people who are incarcerated in the United States, and then 33% of the prison population is black in the United States, but only 12% of the population is black. So much larger percentage of people who are black who are in prison in the United States. So just some numbers to sort of keep in mind when you're thinking about the pandemic and thinking about like what's happening in the United States as far as racial equality goes. So I just wanted to bring that up. Then also today I'm going to talk about currencies, and maybe you saw the Bitcoin video, and then of course the Bitcoin funny video is really funny, right? That Seth Meyers one where the women are sitting around the table talking about how Bitcoin works. But in any case, why are currencies so important, and especially how do governments impact it? What role does government play in it? So I've got some currencies listed here. The yuan, which is the Chinese currency, also sometimes referred to as the RMB. And so you can see $1 will buy you 7 RMB right now. I've got the euro dollar. That's like those European countries like Germany and France and Greece that are on the European euro dollar, and they're all using that same currency across the board. It was also would have been what United Kingdom was using, but they opted out from the beginning. So when they did have Brexit, it wasn't as big of a deal because they were all along using the pound. And then I've also, so the euro dollar is at $1.12 American money will buy you €1, okay? And then I've got the peso listed here from Mexico. And just to give an example of that, it's $1 will buy you 25 pesos, all right? So why is it important? What's the big deal about this? Just for instance, if you were traveling, which I know nobody's traveling anymore, I mentioned to you though that I do want to go to Greece and see the Parthenon. The other place that is like phenomenal, which I'm planning on going to in a couple of years when my daughter graduates from college, we're going to go back to the Bahamas because we had so much fun going down those water slides and the lazy rivers and all that kind of stuff. But in any case, when you do get a chance on the discussion board, just tell us where you want to go, and then also look up who your state representative is. So for the yuan, if it costs Americans $1 to get 7 yuan, then it sounds like it's kind of cheap for us to get yuan. So if we're doing that, that means it's cheap for us to get products from China, right? So what if the yuan went to 5 from $1? So instead of getting 70, you get 5. That would mean it would be a lot more expensive for us to buy products from China. The thing that's really important about China is they totally manipulate their currency. If you go to the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, that's where you'll see where the futures prices are on currencies, and that's where I went to get these numbers. And that will show you currencies trading all day long. The yuan doesn't really trade fairly because the Chinese government artificially keeps the yuan at around 7 per US dollar. So if it's at 7 per US dollar, then it's much cheaper for us to buy products from China. And of course, the reverse, much more expensive for Chinese to buy products from the United States. So if you're a government, then you want to try to, of course, sell as many things as you can to foreign countries. And this is going to sort of limit how much we're able to sell to them. And of course, make it easier for us to buy a lot more from China. And I said the other day that with our trade agreement, or with trade with China, we buy about 400 billion per year more than they buy from us. So the disparities are huge there. And so what if we could get it down to 5? If we could get it down where we would get 5 RMB for $1, that's going to encourage the Chinese to buy more products from us. And so if we could figure that out, or if we could get the Chinese to stop manipulating their currency, maybe we would be able to get that changed. Now, the euro dollar does trade freely, and I can tell you the euro dollar has been all over the place. Like in the past 10 years, the euro has been up to like $1.60. So we would pay $1.60 to get 1 euro. So of course, that's going to discourage us from buying from there, or discourage us from traveling there, and encourage them because they're getting a lot more buying power. But now, since it's come down to $1.12, that's going to encourage us to buy more from there and discourage them because their buying power isn't as strong. So the euro dollar, though, that does trade freely, and all sorts of things impact what's going on with trade or with currencies. And so, what's going on with an economy is going to impact it. Whether or not people think that the government's going to change. What's going on with gold and oil can also impact it. And by the way, most oil around the world trades in dollars. And so when you're talking about oil prices, think of like some of these developing countries, and if they have to get dollars and then trade to get oil, then of course it can really impact them. So what's going on with the dollar and the value of the dollar is also going to impact what's happening with oil, which you may have noticed that oil's back up to around $40 a barrel. And so the market certainly stabilized compared to where it had fallen that one day to below $40 a barrel, where it was negative $40 a barrel, which was just a unique situation altogether. The next one I thought we'd take a look at is the peso. And the peso is now, you get 25 pesos for $1. Just 3 or 4 months ago, it was 20 pesos for the dollar. So the value of the peso has fallen dramatically. Of course, the pandemic, economic issues are part of that. And so now, if you want to visit Mexico, it's even cheaper. And so, if you could drive down to the Mexican border and get across there, you're going to get things even cheaper now. And so maybe consider going on your vacation to Mexico and not flying somewhere. Of course, it's not easy to drive to the Mexico border either. But it's fallen significantly, and that's a huge change in currencies, where you're talking about 20% or 25% change in currencies. And so it's really going to be an issue for You know, if you want to buy something, if you're from Mexico, then you've got to get 25 of your currencies to get $1 compared to it was 20 before. And so it's certainly going to encourage Americans to buy a lot more things from Mexico. Remember that the trade disparity was very small with Mexico, right? It's maybe 20 or 30 billion dollars compared to a huge percentage of trade that we do with them. So those are currencies that are certainly traded. Bitcoin's also traded at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange as futures, but Bitcoin is not controlled by any other government. Bitcoin is created by somebody who just decided this is like a currency to create. I only wish I had heard about Bitcoin early on. I could have bought Bitcoin for $1. Now it's at $10,000. What a dummy I am. I just didn't really know exactly what was going on with it. And I was like, that thing doesn't even make any sense. But now it makes sense because it's much more stable and people are using it to trade and they don't have to worry about like other currencies. And so if you can get a hold of it, then it's worthwhile. And of course, watch that video on Bitcoin of how it's made and what's going on with it. It'll help you. And so governments are worried about their currencies. It's going to impact trade. It's going to impact what money is flowing back and forth. It's going to impact tourism. And of course, tourism's like, falling off the edge these days. But someday it will come back. And still, we are buying and selling things across the borders. And so the more that we can buy or sell across the borders, the better and more healthy our economies will be. And of course, we want to sell it more, and they want us to, and we want they want to sell more to us. And so keep all of that in mind. Sorry, this one ran a little bit long, but it's kind of an important topic. And so keep up the good work in the class. Certainly keep those current events papers and those discussion questions coming in. Oh, and then the one other thing is we also have that local government meeting. I had said either watch one online or you can even watch C-SPAN and watch a government meeting. During the summer, those local government meetings are sort of only one per month, and so you might have to kind of look around to find one, either a school board meeting or a city government meeting or something like that. You can always do DuPage County Board meeting, which is on Tuesdays. Watch one of those online and just write about it. I'm on the Glen Ellen Village Board, which we had our meeting on Monday night, and we don't have another one until like July 22nd. And so, we've got quite some time before there's another one. So you may have to watch a C-SPAN one, but try to watch something somewhere along the line and get that paper going. All right, have a good day.